Good evening, everybody. I would like to do a report for yesterday and today, and we have a lot of good news. I know I don't seem like, I'm all happy and bubbly, but because it's been really very energy draining over the past 48 hours. But, first, out of respect to the children, I'd like to say what happened yesterday. And 16 children, which is a very low number, but still, I say even one child too much. For the 17th of February, 16 children were brought in and then taken to one location. They were picked up in the Philippines by the Air Force and then flown to Nellis Air Force Base. And usual, they select, Air Force men who are pedophiles, and they always get raped on the way over here on the plane. And then they were transported from the Las Vegas MILAB to the Carson City MILAB, which, is connected to the resorts, because that's Lake Tahoe, the Lake Tahoe Resort area, Carson City, Nevada area. And then these 16 children were gang raped by a group of 36 males. There were 13 CEOs, 10 other corporate executives, and then 12 more men of the CIA, FBI, and one DARPA man. And, wait, did I get that right? 23, 30, seems like I'm missing. No, I think I got that right. I'm sorry. And the 13 CEOs and 3 CIA agents were the ones who killed the children. 16 men killed 16 children in the usual way. But the good news is that today there were no children. And I was really happy to hear that. And it's been the first time since December the 6th. Because, before, when this was when I was first introduced to this, which was in January 2013, it was so surreal and so overwhelming, I couldn't even deal with it. And that's what happens to a lot of anomalous trauma survivors, is something so horrific happens that your brain can't deal with it. And I think it was like six or 7 months before I could even look at that event. And then every time I did, I had some kind of seizure. And that's when, they murdered 54 children in the room that I was in. And then another time they murdered 16 children while I was being raped. And I still can't deal with it. And, so I figured eventually once this is all over, then I'll deal with my own problems, because I'd rather remain focused on everybody else. It's just so much better that way. But last night, something wonderful happened. And, we've been talking about the sacred fire, and what happened was, I forgot this total number of people, 1,156 people who've been watching these videos, who know about child trafficking. Maybe they haven't watched the videos, but there's a lot of people who know from all over the world. And what God did was, somehow He connected all of our souls together with some type of cord of light. I haven't really had a lot of time to look and see what happened, because it's just been crazy. And recently, just over the past 2 hours, from like 6:30 to 8:30, it got really rough around here. And, a lot of temporals came in from the Army Special Ops or whatever. But anyway, it was wonderful last night, and we were all connected together, and we were doing sacred fire movements on all the MILABs, and we're filling the sacred fire into every text message, every email, every telephone, the vehicles, the homes, the properties, the corporations where these men work, the MILABs, every person involved, all the DARPA employees, everything. And we started working our way from west to east: California, Nevada, Arizona, Lincoln, Nebraska, Minneapolis, Chicago, Indianapolis, and Michigan. There are like 3 big locations in Michigan. And then we went on and did a couple more, one upstate New York and Boston, and then we went down and started working in the Washington, D.C. area. And it's every time you do this, well, before, even when I would make a comment on YouTube about, oh, John McCain's raped, 36 children at this point or whatever, oh, they would just come in the temporals, and kick my ass for everything I did. So, it did get, later on, they would come back and attack. But what happened was, because so many of us were working with the sacred fire, and Mother and Father God, it either like doubled or tripled its potency, so that when a temporal would come in, because see, they're basically energy beings, and I really don't even understand it, but except that they're literally like real people, except they're in a slightly different dimension or whatever. So energy can take them out. But it's been in the past, because of the vibrations of the planet, like they would come in and I would say thank you for the golden cord of light, and it would create a golden cord of light in them. And then I would say thank you for the sacred fire, and they would get, boom, it would be sacred fire. And then the 0 point energy would flow through me, and first we'd like throw the energy at them, like energy balls. And then that was usually like 10 or 12 of those. And this is doing one temporal. And then we would say thank you for the star, and then God would put a star in them of the gold ray of Christ, the Christ consciousness, and the crystalline Christ consciousness. All 3 of those mix and create a star. And then my hands would form like this, and it would start shaking, and a different type of energy would flow through me. And then my hands would go flat, and then it was just almost like doing patty cake. But this energy would flow, a different type of energy. So this is what we would go through for each and every one. Well, now, last night, because we were all connected, and so many people now are working with the sacred fire, we were literally just doing everything all at once. Like I was saying, not just the temporals and the artificial intelligence drones, because they're energy-based too. I know there's the drones that fly around in the sky, but these are different. These are energetical. And we were just wiping out like temporals, massively. I mean, hundreds and hundreds at a time, because the energy was just shifting up enough that it would make it impossible for them to exist. Well, then, and that went on for hours. I didn't even remember when I was up pretty late last night. But it was so wonderful because there was such a radical difference. Well, we didn't do every one. Then we ended up doing London and Moscow and Shanghai, and I think it was, because there were 2 in Australia. I don't know if the one in Sydney closed, but it was Sydney, and then I think it either moved to Perth or they opened a second location. And but we cleared Australia. But it was really cool because we were all connected together, and I didn't even realize that until it was over. And like I said today, I had to take my mom to Rochester because we plant a lot of trees, so I took her to a tree planting seminar. We usually plant several hundred trees a year. It's over like probably 20,000 trees so far we've planted. But it's really, we loved it. I love planting trees, and I highly recommend it. At least, I don't know, a lot of people don't have a space, but even if you just plant one, they're awesome, especially one that flower. But this was a huge breakthrough day, and then something happened after the temporals were here for a couple hours tonight. They just all of a sudden disappeared, and I couldn't do anything about it because that DARPA paralyzation weapon, they were using it on me, and I couldn't move. I was pinned down on my stomach. And but I got this note, right before I did my my daily reading for the children. We are truly sorry for your pain and suffering. We just made the final adjustment in frequency. There will be no more temporals or artificial intelligence drones that harm you and the others. And the way that they've been going, well, this has been going on for months, but see, then they could produce more, and then they would come back, and then they would, they would get destroyed again, and then they would come back. And then remember when all those aliens came in, all like 65 ships? There were like over 6,000 of them, and then they would bring more. And it's like, are you kidding me? Over and over and over again. But this is the first time since December the 6th that a whole day has passed. And everybody that's been praying, we're all involved in this. we all did this as a team, even though we don't even know each other. Isn't that cool how that works? We don't even know each other in the physical or in our rational consciousness, but our souls know each other, and that's what matters. We made a huge difference because the energies were off for the child traffickers today. And then also, oh, what I wanted to tell you too, because if you're still praying and doing these things on your own, to the periphery people, and because I didn't even really think about this before, but there's a lot of people that know what's going on, like the White House staff, and other people around, like secretaries and stuff like this, and they say, oh well, I know these little girls were getting raped last night or whatever, but I don't want to say anything about it because I don't want to lose my job. Those kind of people, we were working on those kind of people too, like crazy. Hopefully they'll feel a little guilty and maybe they'll decide to move to the light and try to do something so we can bring this to a close. But it was a huge breakthrough. And I can't thank you enough. We're just an awesome team, even though we don't know each other. Probably, later on after mass arrest, or this mass arrest, maybe we'll all get to meet someday and have a big party on a cruise ship. Wouldn't that be fun? God bless your hearts. Thank you so much.